Kia ora and welcome back to chapter 11. And in this chapter we're looking at managing self. Managing self is the third of our competencies. So building identity, our thinking and questioning enables us to look at managing self. Because if we understand the self-talk, the talk we're sort of doing to self, then we've got a much better chance of actually understanding and remembering what that self-talk is about. So self-talk is very important. We have to be cognizant of it, aware of it. And in managing self, how we react to different situations is not necessarily a guidebook we can provide. We can't provide you with a rule book. For example, if we're playing Monopoly and we know the rules, does that help you win the game? And the answer is not necessarily. The rules allow us to play Monopoly, but they don't actually give us the rationale or the concept about winning. Okay, to win Monopoly, you have to understand the concept of Monopoly, and the whole concept of Monopoly is about you give away resource, okay, purchase another type of resource that will actually make money for you. So you've got to give away your money to make money, and that's a very, very tricky thing to do, and we all struggle with that in many respects. We buy a house, so we give some money to buy a house in the hope that actually we'll get some money back from that later on, maybe. Okay, so concepts are very important underpinning most of what we do, and our brain loves patterns when they see it, but if we understand the concept, we've got a much better chance of being able to apply the concept, okay, to contexts that we may not have actually experienced before. So the capacity to show initiative, okay, is an element of managing self. Sometimes it's a good thing to step out and do that, other times it's a good thing to sit back and watch that happen. Okay, it's important that schools make clear to our parents and caregivers that children aren't fragile ceramic figurines. You know, they need to manage self and they need to take risks. And I can't emphasize enough this notion of taking risks for our young people. We have had a degree of parenting coming through where we're mitigating risk because we want to keep them safe. We're worried about them. And in many respects, we need our young people to take risks through their lives. They need those scars. They will survive most things. You know, they need those scars to remind them of the events that they have experienced. Right? We need to dig deep, okay, to get over our disappointments. Okay, we need to experience disappointment when we're young to know how to deal with that. It's no good saving people from disappointment. Okay, it's no good saving people from relationships that break up. They have to go through that process to understand what it makes to have a relationship and what disappointments do to us and how we can disappoint others. So managing self is a complex process. But once again, we're using the same framework for these rubrics, and we're saying that there is a group of concepts that look at understanding. Things like building a deeper understanding of self. Okay, what does that do? So that's one variable. What that does is it allows us to take increasing agency over our learning. If we understand self, we can better manage self, and therefore we can take much greater agency over our decisions and our learning. So that's one of the concepts in understanding. Another one might be the fact that our ability to be metacognitive, reflecting on our own thinking, which is coming down from thinking and questioning, which is coming down from this sense of identity. We're gradually tearing down to managing self. And our ability to be metacognitive, it allows us then to become much more self-aware of our impact on others, okay, and the critical nature of our own thinking. So we can look at each of these concepts in understanding. We want to build a foundation of understanding so that the next thing we can do is then expose those to a series of strategies. And each of the strategies are a concept framework as well. For example, being more efficient and effective learner, we can be a more efficient and effective learner if we're planning what we're going to be learning about and we're being much more strategic. The more strategic and the better planned we are, the more efficient and effective we are as a learner. And so once again, there's this notion in these concepts of cause and effect. All right. Another one we have here in the sequencing, identifying and addressing conflict, okay, by having the difficult conversation with our peers and adults. Having the difficult conversation, if we could just have everyone understanding that framework, then it would cause us far less grief. It's the inability to have that difficult conversation that causes to all sorts of world problems, and local problems and relationship problems. We need to have the difficult conversation. When you talked to me like that last night, I found that really difficult because we need to have those conversations. We need to be prepared to have them, and also we need to be prepared to receive those conversations as well and take part in the conversation and not see it as an adversarial process. Then we want to develop these dispositions around managing self. Things like having moral courage. Okay, so the moral courage that builds our principles, character, and our influence. If we take moral courage and decide, yes, I can address this, then it builds our principles and character formation, but it also builds our influence with others. People respect those people who step up and go, right, I need to address this issue. Okay, and it's very similar. You can see the development from difficult conversations to have moral courage, to deal with those things that talk about our moral and ethical side of our world. Another example, learning from others and our own learning experiences allows us to form positive personal learning habits. And of course you can see the reference here to learning all the way through, because what we're doing here is we're building capabilities around our young people to be able to be more efficient, effective learners that can take agency over their own learning. One more to finish with maybe, being increasingly self-aware. The more self-aware that we are, then that allows us to form positive personal learning habits and activities and responses to other people. Once again, it's this cause and effect. Okay, in each of these concepts we have a cause and we have an effect. And they're underlined in different type colours, so black and red, so you can actually see how those two connect. So managing self is a response not just to the competency of managing self, but it also builds out of our thinking and questioning, and it also comes from our ability to have a sense of our identity, who we are, and the type of person we want to be. Okay, and that allows us then to manage self much more effectively. And we have a lot of young children in our classes that don't manage themselves well. Right? And it's a problem we have globally. This is nothing unique to a particular country or a particular year level. It's everywhere and right through our lifetimes. And if we give our young people some foundational work in this space around thinking and questioning, around identity, tearing those two together to allow us to manage self, we've got a much better chance of making a much better go of the world that we live in. So thank you very much. That's chapter 11, Managing Self. 2 to go. Okay, we're in the home run now. Okay, so we'll leave it there, and all the best with that, and we'll see you in the next chapter.